In about 10 days, Ross is gonna throw him away. I'm gonna be real with you, Screech. I mean, Meech. If Rick Ross, seeing what he did to you, because he knew what he was doing standing on the side of it, right?
Welcome. I've seen a lot of posts about the big Meech concert getting canceled. What I'm not seeing is anybody blaming Rick Ross for this shit. Nobody is saying, yo, Rick Ross is your...
Rick Ross just made one of the most calculated moves in hip-hop, and now Big Meech is the one paying the price. The streets are buzzing, and all eyes are on the unexpected fallout between Big Meech and Rick Ross. What started as a powerful comeback story has flipped into what many are calling one of the coldest betrayals in the game. Big Meech stepped back onto the scene, ready to reclaim his legacy sharp look, boss mentality, and the whole industry watching. He linked up with Rick Ross, the self-proclaimed biggest boss, and social media was flooded with posts of their big business plans, movie talks, and high-energy collaborations. It all seemed like the perfect redemption arc, but now everything has collapsed. That massive comeback concert? Canceled. The million-dollar deals? Gone. His family is barely holding things together, and Rick Ross? Nowhere to be found. He disappeared just when Meech needed him the most.
Down on the edge, so don't push. I aim straight for your head, so don't push.
Yeah, I'm out here in Miami. We're gonna do live tonight. It's gonna be live if it don't get canceled.
This party is canceled.
We're about to break down how Rick Ross went from being Meech's biggest supporter to becoming his biggest problem. And once you see what really happened, you'll understand why Meech finally snapped, because anyone in his position would have. Let's rewind. Have you noticed anything suspicious about Ross lately? That mysterious shoulder injury that seemed to come out of nowhere? How does he dodge every question about Meech? This is where the real story starts unfolding. While social media kept fueling the drama between Big Meech and 50 Cent, a much bigger revelation surfaced, one that changed the entire narrative. And guess who just jumped in? 50 Cent. He reshared a post straight from an insider, someone deeply connected to both Meech and Ross. This isn't some fan theory or made-up controversy. This comes from someone who actually knows the players involved and what they exposed about Ross. Moves so deceptive that no one saw them coming.
I've seen a lot of posts about the big Meech concert getting canceled. What I'm not seeing is anybody blaming Rick Ross for this shit. Nobody is saying, yo, Rick Ross is your fault.
That's right. What seemed like genuine support from Rick Ross was actually a carefully orchestrated play to keep his name relevant in the industry. Think about it, what better way to stay in the spotlight than inserting himself into an ongoing feud between two legends? Sources close to the situation reveal that Ross had this plan in motion the moment he found out Big Meech was coming home. Wasting no time, he reached out immediately, positioning himself as an ally. But behind the scenes, it was a different story. Ross played his role flawlessly, feeding Meech grand promises and painting a picture of an epic comeback event. He pitched a massive concert, claiming it would be a celebration featuring hip-hop's biggest names. It was sold as a way to generate the funds Meech desperately needed after nearly 2 decades behind bars. After serving 15 years and trying to get back on his feet, Meech believed he had a solid opportunity. But to Ross, this was never about Meech, it was about capitalizing on clout and cash. And then everything backfired badly, not just a minor setback, but a complete disaster. That's when 50 Cent, who had actually been standing by Meech for years, stepped in and exposed the entire scheme.
Because when we was on the internet talking about the Cuffy case and all that, nobody even really gave a fuck. But now 50 talking about that shit, and everybody listening. Everybody listening, you heard? So, I just want to say, or I want to ask you, did you think that shit was a good idea in hindsight? Do you think it was a good idea?
Now, here's where things get even more twisted. According to Zip, a well-connected insider, Ross was quietly pulling strings behind the scenes to ensure that the concert never happened. And not only that, he then had the audacity to shift the blame onto 50 Cent without ever addressing it publicly. If that's not manipulation on another level, then what is?
How you let that nigga get the show canceled in Florida, B? That's kind of diabolical, you heard? 50, that's some bullshit. How you let the nigga get the show canceled in Florida? Let's get to that.
But Zip didn't stop there. He dropped even more shocking details.
Oh, yo, he never ratted on nobody. He official. What? Jailhouse full of paying rent. That never ratted, wouldn't dare rat. But they butt. What is you talking about? He official. That don't make you solid cause you ain't rat. You shouldn't get no credit cause you ain't rat. You wasn't supposed to rat. You don't get no check on his resume cause he ain't.
Zip claimed that Ross had been hyping up Meech's never-fold reputation as if it made him some legendary figure in the streets. But in reality, Zip argued that it was just an unspoken street code, not a symbol of greatness. He even questioned whether simply not cooperating with authorities was enough to build an entire brand around. But here's what Zip didn't mention: there's actual evidence and testimony suggesting Meech may have made some behind-the-scenes deals to reduce his sentence. And we're going to get into that soon. Right now, while Meech is out here struggling, betrayed, and cut off by both Ross and 50, Rick Ross is fully focused on pushing his latest project. That's right, the so-called biggest boss is too busy promoting himself to acknowledge the mess he left behind.
See what I'm doing right now? My shoulder broke, but we still getting to the money. We still counting paper. This ain't a pump and dump, baby. We bossing all the way up. Get the address to the boss token.
Now, ask yourself, was Rick Ross ever truly in Big Meech's corner? Or was Meech just another pawn in Ross's playbook to stay on top? Here's where things start to look questionable. That sudden shoulder injury Ross claimed, it surfaced right when the situation with Meech started heating up a little too convenient, don't you think? But that's just the beginning. While Meech's family is reportedly struggling just to keep the lights on, Ross has been flaunting his wealth with extravagant car shows across the country, charging fans thousands for VIP access like it's nothing. And people are talking from Atlanta to Miami. Sources are echoing the same thing. This isn't just about business. Between the boss token and these high-priced car events, many are starting to believe Ross is running straight-up scams. Plenty of individuals claim they've lost money with nothing to show for it. Meanwhile, Ross acts like everything is smooth sailing. And that shoulder injury, word on the street suggests it might not be the result of a gym accident. Rumors are swirling that Big Meech himself could have had a hand in it. Now, let's be clear, no one is saying it actually happened. But after everything Ross has done, would it really be shocking if Meech finally snapped? 15 years behind bars, only to be used by someone who once posed as a friend. That kind of betrayal hits differently, but don't jump to conclusions just yet. There's another theory, and honestly, it makes even more sense when you consider how Ross operates. What if that injury is exaggerated or even staged? Could Ross be using it as a sympathy stunt to deflect criticism for turning his back on Meech? Think about it, playing the victim to shift the narrative while the streets start asking real questions. It's classic misdirection. Looking at Ross's past, especially his involvement in the Larry Hoover benefit concert fiasco back in 2022, a pattern starts to emerge. And when you connect the dots, that shoulder injury starts looking even more suspicious. But before we go deeper, if these behind-the-scenes revelations are opening your eyes, take a second to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. It only takes a moment, but it helps keep this real talk going, because trust me, this is the kind of information they don't want getting out. Now, here's the thing, this isn't the first time Ross has attached himself to figures connected to the streets for his own gain. Looking back at that Larry Hoover benefit concert mess, his tactics become crystal clear. That event was supposed to be about justice, freedom, and raising awareness, a real movement. But Ross, he saw it as a marketing opportunity. He strategically name-dropped Larry Hoover in his music, fully aware of what he was doing, using a legendary name to sell tickets and boost his own status. But when things got complicated,
the Rick Ross concerts scheduled for Charlotte and Greensboro this weekend have been canceled. Yesterday, you may remember, we told you about threats that the rapper received, which had made some fans a little anxious.
He vanished. Fast forward to the aftermath, and Ross didn't even take responsibility for his role in the chaos. Instead, he shifted blame onto his own team. In an interview, he claimed, "I canceled the rest of the tour. The promoter wasn't really handling his business. He canceled a date of mine. I was headed to Tucson, Arizona, just a few hours outside the market. Then I woke up and saw 2 more dates had been canceled, and I felt like that was some power I needed to take back from the homie." So, let's get this straight. The headliner of the tour didn't even know his own shows were being canceled? That doesn't add up. How does a top artist not realize his name has been pulled from a lineup he's supposed to be leading? And here's the kicker: back then, Ross pulled something eerily similar to what he's doing now with his crypto hustle. Just like the boss token, flashy on the surface, but no real follow-through. Every time controversy arises, Ross either disappears or shifts the blame onto someone else. "I'm a certified man. I'm a real boss. Gangsters move in silence. That's what Rick Ross told the world. But if we're being honest, it's starting to sound more like he's masking deep insecurity than speaking facts. And shortly after all that tough talk, the truth started coming to light. Insiders revealed that Larry Hoover himself, the actual leader of the Gangster Disciples, wasn't happy about Ross using his name in a track without permission. And what did Ross do? He denied everything, just like he always does. He said, anybody that didn't know about Mr. Hoover, that's why I put him in my song. It's all about support, all about uplifting. I was just in Chicago a week and a half ago, the birthplace of the GDs. If I can handle business in Chicago, I got no problems in North Carolina. But here's the question that really makes you think if Rick Ross could disrespect Larry Hoover and walk away untouched. Why? Would Big Meech expect Ross to treat him any differently? And this next part, it takes Betrayal to a whole new level. The man who turned his back on Big Meech built his entire rap career on a lie. Rick Ross isn't even his real name, it's William Leonard Roberts too. And he didn't just adopt a stage name like most rappers do. He stole the identity of a real drug kingpin, a man serving life in prison. Freeway Rick Ross, the real one, was eventually released and even took Roberts to court over.
His name is Rick Ross. But not only that, this Rick Ross claims that his whole identity was stolen. Peep the beard, peep the bald hair, the selling stuff.
That's when the entire image collapsed. The tough street boss persona Ross had been portraying turned out to be a facade. The man who claimed to control Miami's underground scene was, in reality, working for the government.
Here's where things start to get wicked. Secrets start getting spilled. Rose says, Your Honor. Judge says, are you a kingpin? A Bausch, if you will. Rose said, no. The crowd goes, Judge said, the crowd goes silent. He goes, so what were you before you were a rapper? Rose goes, a corrections officer.
Yeah. Yes. The same guy who acted like he was deeply embedded in the streets was actually a corrections officer, locking people up while building a rap career based on stories that weren't even his. Even after the truth came out, he managed to win in court. That's why some in the industry firmly believe Rick Ross might be a federal informant, moving through hip-hop circles, gathering information, and feeding it back to the system. Maybe that's why he continuously stirs up drama with 50 Cent and other artists, not just for attention, but to create chaos and keep people talking. Some even speculate he's setting traps, waiting for someone to slip up. Chaos seems to be his playing field. And yet, this is the same man Big Meech put his trust in a glaring red flag waving right in his face. And how did Meech respond when that flag smacked him head on? He ignored it, even after the industry saw Ross back away from supporting Larry Hoover. A moment things got too serious, Meech still chose to believe in him. You'd think that after 15 years behind bars, he'd have developed a sharper instinct for deception. Instead, he got caught up in a flashy illusion disguised as loyalty. But the real shocker isn't just what Ross did, it's what Meech sacrificed to align with him. Meech already had 50 Cent in his corner, someone who truly stood by him during his time in prison. 50 didn't just talk. He invested real money, kept Meech's name alive, and transformed the BM story into a major TV franchise. He introduced Meech to an entirely new audience that had never even heard of him before. And this wasn't just a publicity move. Those close to both men confirmed that 50 was sending financial support to Meech's family, visiting him quietly, without cameras, without making it public. He was strategizing real business moves that would have changed Meech's life the moment he walked out of prison. Just days before Meech started associating with Ross, 50 and Tony Yale visited him, celebrated his release, and laid out serious financial opportunities worth millions.
You know what's crazy? We went to Meech's house, we sat down with him, Lil Meech, and I thought, big things in the future was coming.
Everything was set. Then Rick Ross made his move, swooping in with grand promises, claiming he wanted to throw a celebration in Meech's honor. But let's be honest, that wasn't a genuine welcome party. It was a calculated move, a power play. Ross wasn't there to uplift Meech, he was there to hijack the spotlight and twist the narrative in his favor. Ross saw the perfect chance to take a shot at 50 Cent's biggest investment, the BM brand. Think about it, 50 had been making serious money off Meech's story, and Ross, his longtime rival, came in with offers of a concert and talks of a movie deal. That wasn't a kind gesture. It was a setup designed to shift the entire BMF legacy in his favor.
I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film.
Rick Ross wasn't just trying to celebrate Meech, he was aiming to take control of the BMF name, pulling it right out of 50 Cent's hands. And Meech walked right into it, prioritizing flash over facts. When 50 Cent saw Meech standing next to Ross, he didn't hold back. His reaction was instant and brutal, straight to Instagram, no filters. He called Meech a snitch and posted an image of a rat, throwing direct shade with a savage caption. I think I'm Big Meech, a clear shot at Ross's 2010 hit BM. 50 has never been one to stay quiet, and he wasn't about to start now. Some tried to spin it as if Ross had good intentions, suggesting he genuinely wanted to honor Meech. Maybe his obsession with making a BM film led him to get closer, hoping for Meech's approval.
Director. Shout out to my homie F. Gary Gray, Antoine Foucault, what's up? Tarantino. It's a lot of legends. This is gonna be big, I can feel it. I'm just talking.
But even if that was his plan, it was doomed from the start. The entire industry knows 50 Cent owns the rights to the BM story. Without his approval, Ross couldn't film a single scene. So this wasn't just a misstep, it was Meech burning. The one bridge that had actually kept him afloat. He abandoned someone who had supported him for years just to chase empty promises from a man known for smoke and mirrors. If this isn't a prime example of self-sabotage, then what is? And instead of taking responsibility for the mistake, Meech doubled down, releasing a weak, obviously scripted statement that convinced no one. There was no real apology, no accountability, just recycled loyalty talk that fell flat.
I never folded, never told, never will. Death before the sun.
I'll never fold. Really, Meech? You folded on the one person who kept your legacy alive for 15 years. The timing couldn't have been worse or more obvious. The streets saw it, the industry saw it, and 50 Cent, he saw it coming from miles away. Even those who usually stay neutral, like Andrew Schultz, admitted when it comes to beef, 50 Cent never misses, and now, the plot twist no one saw coming.
He's the GOAT. If 50 doesn't f with you, I don't f with you. But I just don't know why yet. But he's never wrong. If he doesn't like you, right, there's a reason.
Rick Ross, the same guy who set this entire situation in motion, is now out here trying to make amends with 50 Cent. That's right, after attempting to take over the BMF brand, he's suddenly switching gears and playing the apology card. One moment, he's strategizing on 50 East turf. The next, he's practically asking for a truce. Ross is moving unpredictably, shifting positions faster than a Formula One driver, adjusting to whatever benefits him most at the moment.
And that's your way of saying, Rose, let's put it to the side. I'm really a good guy. And I get it, but it ain't time for that yet. Because when I see your I don't hug him, I don't speak to him.
What 50 Cent do? It's not about what he's done to the people he's beefed with. It's about what he's doing to the people he's beefed with. Because you see, when you start beefing with 50 Cent, you beefing for life. He will never stop.
And the backlash? It's so intense that even industry veterans, people who usually stay out of drama, are calling Meech out. Some are saying this might be one of the worst career decisions hip-hop has ever seen. Even Wack 100, who's been in every corner of the industry, couldn't stay silent. When someone like him says you just threw away a golden opportunity, you know it's bad.
He got 19 years of being incarcerated. That 50 could have took that and converted that to about 5 seasons and then turned around and then did the overall movie. He had a good 30 to 50 million he could have made.
But what makes this situation even worse? Everyone saw it coming. Long before the concert was canceled, people were predicting Ross would disappear the moment things got complicated. Now, Big Meech is struggling to process everything. Sources close to him say reality is hitting hard, and he's been unraveling ever since he realized the depth of Ross's deception. From the promise of freedom to complete uncertainty, Meech exchanged real loyalty for empty illusions, and now he's paying the price.
In 10 days, Ross is gonna throw him away. I'm gonna be real with you, Meech. If Rick Ross, seeing what he did to you, because he knew what he was doing.
15 years behind bars, dreaming of a major comeback only to watch it all crumble before his eyes because he put his faith in the wrong person. That welcome home concert, which was supposed to finance his fresh start, gone. The movie deal Ross hyped up, never happening without 50's approval. And the strong support system that took care of his family for years, damaged by his own misjudgment. This isn't just a small setback, it's a complete collapse. If you found this deep dive insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and share, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out. I'm bringing you the truth the industry doesn't want you to hear. Drop a comment below. Do you think Big Meech can recover from this? Or did Rick Ross just sabotage one of hip-hop's greatest comeback stories? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Remember, don't just listen to the talk, watch the moves.